A ceasefire agreement came into effect on the 10th of October, bringing hope and easing of the violence after 2 years. This came after Israel and Hamas agreed to the first stage of a plan mediated by the US, Qatar, Turkey and Egypt. In accordance with the deal, all the living Israeli hostages have now been released and busloads of Palestinian detainees have been returned in the past week. Millions of Palestinians have begun making their way back to their homes, many faced with rubble and destruction brought over the past 2 years. The United Nations Satellite Center reported that 83% of all building structures have been damaged in Gaza. Meanwhile, aid agencies are hoping the ceasefire will allow for an influx of food and supplies to flood the enclave. But the road ahead is long, as the humanitarian crisis amidst 2 years of war has caused unimaginable devastation. To understand more about the humanitarian impact of war for 2 years, we're joined with the chairperson of Humanity First UK, Dr. Aziz Hafizab. So, Dr. Saab, we want to first ask about your assessment and what things are like in Gaza at the moment. So, what are the current humanitarian conditions in Gaza?
Sadly, the current humanitarian conditions in Gaza are dire. As many may know, there's over 66,000 people have been killed. There's over 18,000 children that have been killed over the last 2 years. It's an astronomical figure. The figures are so high that you almost become numb to them. They're unimaginable. Nearly every single person in Gaza has been displaced, and they've been displaced multiple times. And famine in Gaza government, famine soon reaching Deir al-Balah. People are literally starving. There have been 500 deaths related to malnutrition. 500. An entirely avoidable humanitarian catastrophe. Infectious diseases are rampant. You can imagine, without any sanitation, water facilities, disease is spreading like wildfire, and over 90% of the water infrastructure has been completely destroyed.
So, Dr. Saab, you've been to Gaza. You know, a lot of us at home watching this, myself included, haven't been. We want to know a bit about your experience and maybe the things you've seen firsthand in Gaza.
So I was fortunate enough to visit Gaza both before the war and during the war, January last year. Unfortunately, your first impression when I arrived in Gaza, and it's similar to every other humanitarian, nothing prepares you for what beholds. First of all, the smell. When I entered into Rafah, the smell was intense. Why? Because there's nearly 2 million people, this is January 2024, are displaced in that area. And there is no sewage network, there's no power, there's no drainage. Everything is oozing through the streets. So the sanitary conditions were horrendous. The level of volume of people, 2 million people just squashed next to each other in makeshift tents, disease spreading, seeing the friends that I know in Gaza, seeing them after 3 years thin. They looked like a bag of bones because they'd been so malnourished with a lack of access to food. The war had really ground them down. And children. The other thing that impacts you is just looking at the children. Or those of you who are aware, half the population of Gaza's 2 million are young people under 16. The children, the look on the children's face of desperation, children rushing to carry water, find water for their families. So my impressions from my visit to Gaza were very, very painful, and they remain with me for the rest of my life.
Dr. Saab, you spoke very vividly and quite honestly about your experiences going to Gaza. Something you mentioned was about the lack of food and the tents. So something that comes to mind, obviously with the active restrictions and strikes in place, are we actually able to get supplies into the country? Are we able to get supplies into Gaza?
So Humanity First, only by God's grace, has continuously been able to bring supplies into Gaza, as well as purchase supplies from within the limited market that there is in Gaza. Our major project is water trucking. We have reached probably over 500,000 people, supplying clean, desalinated drinking water to internally displaced people in camps across Gaza. Food, we provide food parcels as well as cooked food. Again, this I have to add the caveat, this is depending on access to supply. We're also providing shelter, family tents, large multi-purpose tents for medical clinics, etc. We're also providing cash-based assistance to vulnerable families, especially women-led households, widows, orphans. We're also providing psychosocial support for children impacted by the war. We provide temporary learning spaces. These are tents providing education and schooling for children. So that's a high-level summary of the projects that are ongoing. We will expand our work of education, of psychosocial support, of shelter, of food provision. So as and when the security situation improves, we will also continue our work as well as expand it further.
Dr. Saab, I think also the viewers watching this at the moment want to know how can they help and where is their help and their aid being used?
So you can pay directly via our website, hfuk.org, and all your donations reach Gaza. We have a mechanism in line with the UK laws, in line with the varying sanctions that are placed on prescribed organizations to ensure that legally funds reach Gaza via Humanity First Palestine account. So please do donate if you can, whether it's to Humanity First or any other reputable NGO that you are comfortable to donate to. But I would ask you to donate, and primarily I would ask you to pray. It is the prayers of sincere people that I believe will be the only solution here. But we as NGOs will try our level best within our means and capacity to try to continue to support.
Jazakallah for your valuable time, Dr. Saab.